UFC 317 Topuria vs Oliveira took place on June 28th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. The event brought in $11.3 million at the gate, as well as sponsorships and merchandise sales, not to mention the UFC's broadcasting deal with ESPN, which pulls north of $300 million a year. But how big of a slice did the fighters take home? The Nevada State Athletic Commission does not disclose fighter pay information, so while Venom sponsorship and fight bonuses are released, the purses are based on disclosed earnings from previous events. And if you stick around until the end, I'll reveal how much the channel made from the last video. With that said, let's jump into the first fight.
Every fighter that's under contract, if you want to tell the media what you're paid, that's up to you.
After a year-long layoff, Jack Hermansson took on fellow middleweight Gregory Rodrigues. Rodrigues found success pressuring Hermansson against the cage and connected on the end of several of his combinations. Hermansson kept it competitive, however, and opened a cut on Robocop's forehead. At the end of the first round, Rodrigues landed a left hook right on the button that absolutely flattened Hermansson and followed it up with a super necessary hammer fist to the jaw. Gregory Rodrigues walked away with a devastating knockout victory. Hermansson made an estimated $130,000 to show and $16,000 in Venom sponsorship, also known as Fight Week incentive, for $146,000 on the night. While Rodrigues took home around $78,000 to show, along with $78,000 for the win, $11,000 in sponsorship, and a well-deserved $50,000 performance of the night bonus, for a total of $217,000. Kicking off the main card, Felipe Lima came out sharp, touching up highly touted bantamweight Payton Talbott on the feet at the start of the first round. But a failed takedown attempt swung the momentum as Talbott reversed the position and unleashed ground and pound from the top. The high pace continued in the second, and Lima continued to look good on the feet. However, every takedown he attempted was reversed by Talbott, putting Payton in advantageous positions on the ground. He picked up momentum on the feet going into the final frame and continued to defend takedowns. At the end of 3 rounds, Payton Talbott was awarded the unanimous decision victory. Lima, on his third fight with the promotion, assuming he's still on his first contract, would have earned $16,000 to show, along with $4,000 in sponsorship pay, taking home $20,000. While Talbott earned a disclosed $43,000 in his last outing at UFC 311 in a fight that he lost. So I have him making $43,000 here as well, along with $43,000 for the win and $4,500 in sponsorship, for a total of $90,500. In the second fight, lightweights Renato Moicano and Beneil Dariush came out swinging as Dariush punished Moicano's lead leg and body with hard kicks. Towards the end of the round, Moicano landed a right hand that sent Dariush crashing to the canvas. He survived the ensuing grappling, however, and made it to the end of the round. In the second, fast-paced exchanges ultimately resulted in Dariush controlling most of the round from top position. 1-1 going into the final round, the action slowed as both men appeared a bit fatigued. Dariush managed to stay more active until the final bell, and after 15 minutes, he would take the unanimous decision win. Moicano admitted to MMA Guru that he'd made $250,000 for his combined show and win 4 fights ago when he took on Drew Dober. While he claimed he made over $1 million for his last-minute title challenge at UFC 311, he would have been back to his contracted rate for this fight, earning close to $170,000 to show, along with $16,000 in Venom sponsorship, giving him a total of $186,000. Dariush, on his 24th fight with the UFC, made a projected $145,000 to show and $145,000 for the win, along with the maximum non-championship $21,000 in sponsorship, taking his total to $311,000. For the second time in less than a month, Joshua Van entered the octagon, this time to take on the #1 flyweight contender Brandon Royval. It was a boxing-heavy first round, as Royval came out swinging, but Van's pop was immediately on display as he stunned Royval with each of the first few punches that he threw. As the fight progressed, Van held the power advantage, though Royval pushed the pace with a much greater output. Every time one fighter would land, the other would fire back even harder. In the waning seconds, both men let the fist fly, and with the crowd on their feet, Van scored a knockdown off a right hand and pounced on Royval as time expired. A lock for fight of the night, Joshua Van took home the unanimous decision win. Brandon Royval would have made around $80,000 to show for this fight, and Dana White stated at the post-fight presser that Royval would receive his win money as well. With $11,000 in Venom sponsorship and a $50,000 fight of the night bonus, he took home a $221,000 paycheck. while Van, in his 9th UFC fight, pulled a projected purse of $54,000, along with $54,000 for the win, as well as $6,000 in sponsorship pay, and his $50,000 bonus for $164,000 on the night. However, he also likely got a bump in pay for taking the fight on 3 weeks' notice. Alexandre Pantoja and Kai Kara-France came out at lightning speed to kick off their flyweight championship bout. Pantoja quickly took the back of his opponent and threatened with submission attempts as he was able to dominate Kai for the remainder of the first round. Back on the feet, Kara-France seemed unable to get a read on Pantoja's movement and timing. In the 3rd round, Pantoja again took the fight to the ground and maneuvered to his opponent's back, where he locked in a rear naked choke, forcing Kara-France to tap and ensuring Alexandre Pantoja the submission win. Kara-France likely pulled between $350,000 and $500,000 guaranteed as the title challenger, along with $32,000 in Venom sponsorship, totaling $457,000. And as for the still UFC flyweight champion Alexandre Pantoja, while at this point he's considered a long-reigning champ, flyweights are typically not paid at the same rate as other champions. Even still, I'd estimate he made between $500,000 and $1 million guaranteed, along with the champion's rate of $42,000 in sponsorship, and potentially a portion of the pay-per-view revenue. Historically, flyweights aren't always guaranteed pay-per-view points, but for the sake of this estimate, let's assume he did take home a cut. I should also note that according to recent reports, pay-per-view sales have been down overall in the past year or so. John Nash revealed on the Hey Not the Face podcast that some events have not even crossed ESPN's break-even threshold of 300,000 buys. But for this card, I'll estimate 400,000. Using the standard rate outlined in Eddie Alvarez's publicly released contract documents, Pantoja would earn an additional $200,000, coming out to just a hair under $1 million. Only 7% of the people watching this video are subscribers, so if you're enjoying the content and want to keep up with all the latest videos, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And finally, in the main event of the evening, love him or hate him, Aura is certainly a word that embodies the new lightweight champion Ilia Topuria. After a back and forth round that saw the former champ Charles Oliveira come close on a leg lock and land a couple of hard shots of his own, Topuria connected with a Herculean left hook that knocked Do Bronx out cold. Making it 3 knockouts of all-time greats in as many fights, Topuria would earn the victory and the undisputed lightweight belt. According to Sean Shelby, a $2 million headbutt is what forced Charles Oliveira out of his championship bout at UFC 294, leading me to believe that he would have made close to that here as well, along with $32,000 in sponsorship. And although he's not guaranteed pay-per-view points, as a former champion and pay-per-view draw, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for an additional $200K. Totaled up, he walked away with $2,232,000. And as for the new lightweight champion, on the Patrick Bet David podcast, David laid out Topuria's career earnings, listing his pay for his last fight at UFC 308 at $2.44 million. It's unclear whether this includes pay-per-view revenue or not, but I'm assuming for this fight, his flat rate was pretty close to that amount. He'd also earned the challenger's $32,000 in sponsorship pay, and as he voluntarily gave up the featherweight belt in order to move up to lightweight, I'd have to think he's still being treated as a champion, including receiving pay-per-view points. That gives him another $200,000, along with a $50,000 performance of the night bonus, for a grand total of $2,782,000 on the night. And last but not least, my video on UFC Atlanta got just under 8,000 views as of this posting, translating to $34.55. Corrections to the numbers I've shown will be listed in a pinned comment below. As always, thanks for watching. See you next week for UFC Fight Night, Lewis vs. Teixeira.